Hi, I'm Chad Booth, host of the County Seat. This week we will be talking about the Transfer of Public Lands Act, known affectionately as House Bill 148. It has a deadline that's due at the end of the year. What is everybody doing about it? Joining me for a quick conversation on this, Professor Tim Chambliss, Hinckley Institute of Politics, Professor Bob Kiter, Quinney Law School. Let me ask you a question. The federal government spends $9.8 billion maintaining these BLM lands out in the West, and obviously Utah gets a big share of it. If the transfer of public lands takes place, it's going to be up to the state to foot the bill. How does that figure into the big picture, or even to the legal picture?
Well, it's worth noting that the Bureau of Land Management currently has a budget in the neighborhood of $72 million a year to manage its lands in the state of Utah. Those lands also produce something in the neighborhood of $138 million in revenues from primarily from mineral extraction and resources, half of which goes to the state of Utah. In comparison, the State Department of Natural Resources budget is something around or just a little bit under $10 million a year. So there'd be quite a disparity in terms of cost that the state would probably be looking at having to absorb should it become responsible for these lands. It would lose the mineral revenues probably lose the mineral revenues that are currently derived from the BLM lands. And one would have to ask as a political matter if the state acceded to ownership of these lands, whether what's known as the payment in lieu of taxes revenues, PILT revenues, would continue to come to the state. They probably wouldn't.
Well, yeah, obviously that would be the case. However, if all of the rights were to transfer, subsurface and surface, mineral and surface rights, the proponents would say, well, we can manage them so much better. We can reignite a healthy timber industry. We can do a better job of extraction. We should be able to pay for it.
That's right. Many conditional ifs there, and might point out that very recently when this matter came up before the U.S. Senate, that Utah's 2 senators voted differently on PILT.
Well, okay, there's a point in argument.
Here we're looking for broad general agreement for consensus, and it's difficult to get it within our own congressional delegation.
Any other thoughts?
Well, the costs of administering all of the lands that would potentially be involved in the transfer, and that would include, according to House Bill 148, all of the Bureau of Land Management bills, other than those designated as wilderness, as well as all of the national forest lands other than those designated as wilderness. You would have just very substantial costs involved in overseeing those lands, and only a portion of them are in fact available for and could produce meaningful energy and mineral resource revenue.
Okay, well,
Can I just say that I believe tourism in Utah ranks about 5th as an industry of revenue producing, and 2014 marks the 50th anniversary of the Wilderness Act of September 3rd, 1964. So I know there will be people who will be supporting the idea of expanding wilderness as a way of attracting people to the state and making more money for the state to try to offset this budget deficit that we face.
And you know, Professor, with that one, there's an entirely other half hour of debate that we could get into, and we won't on this one. You've been watching excerpts from our upcoming show on the county seat about the transfer of public lands. Be sure to join us on Sunday morning at 8:30 on ABC4. You can like us on Facebook, follow the conversation there, and you can also follow us on Twitter. We like your comments. Join in the conversation. Thank you.